Hey guys, this is Dennis, the founder of Think Hero.
And I'm David Griffin, your resident comic book and video game guru.
And today we are doing a Game of Thrones Season 3 recap and review of the whole entire season. We have a special guest, Kyle from a podcast of Ice and Fire.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for being here, and both of you guys have read the books. I have not, so no spoilers.
Spoilers coming now. No, just joking.
Yeah, so we just ended the season. We just saw the finale. We saw the Red Wedding, and then we saw the episode afterwards. But let's take it back to the beginning.
All the way back.
10
weeks ago.
Yeah. So in the beginning, like at King's Landing, we start off with Tyrion kind of outcasted, even though he kind of saved their asses at the Battle of Blackwater. Mm-hmm. He's kind of outcasted. Like he's in like this little room. No one's going to talk to him and stuff like that. What did you guys think of that whole thing?
I thought it was. I liked it. I mean, it really showed, because before this he was Hand of the King, and he had the nice room and everything, and he seemed to be on top of it. He had control of everything, and then all of a sudden he wakes up in this dark, dank room, and nobody even cares about him. Nobody's around, and it was really a good contrast to where he was in the previous season. Yeah,
I liked how Tywin, who is a much bigger part of this season, and I love his character, how he didn't visit his son at all, even though his son was messed up, and he had saved them, saved at least some of them, and Tyrion was like super hurt and upset by that.
You would think he would know his dad doesn't like him by now.
He's paranoid. I mean, his sister comes to visit him. He takes an axe to the door, and his sister looks at him like, "Look, if I wanted you dead, you'd already be dead already. You think this door would hold me?" I mean, he was just alone, Mm-hmm. He thought everybody had abandoned him. I mean, he saved the day, and he gets no thanks for it. So, I mean, you can't help but feel bad for the guy.
Yeah, I do love how we finally get to see Tywin in King's Landing, and just the power and control he has over his son and daughter. And not only that, I mean, Joffrey's the king, but we really know that it's Tywin is the real king. He's the one who's controlling everything.
Yeah, he's got the power. He really is the man in charge.
Yeah.
It feels like, Joffrey's just this figurehead, but we really find out this season that Tywin does have the power, which we certainly saw in the last episode of the season.
Oh, yeah.
I got to say that I mean, this is going too far, but I think Charles Dance as Tywin Lannister, I think he stole the season in terms of just as an actor's performance. Like, just every scene he was in was just awesome. Like, every conversation with his daughter, with Cersei, with Tyrion, just saying, and with his nephew, just saying grandson, just showing how much power he actually has. It's really impressive.
Yeah, he definitely was one of my favorite characters for this season, and kind of just any scene that had Tyrion, Tywin, and Cersei in it always intrigued me.
Right.
And
are you guys big Cersei fans?
I am. I think she is, even though she's technically a bad character or evil character, I think she's very sympathetic.
Okay.
And Lena Headey is such a good actress that I think that comes across. Because from what people have told me, and you guys can tell me, better than I know, that in the books, apparently she isn't so sympathetic and is not such a likable character.
I was going to say a Kyle about that, because we wouldn't get, this isn't a spoiler, but if you read the books, you do get eventually point of view chapters on her, and it's like, even in her head, she's not sympathetic. Even like when you're inside of her point of view, I'm like, I still don't really care about you. At least that was just me. I don't know if Kyle, if you
No, I hated her even more when we got inside her head.
Right.
She's a very unlikable, just absolutely crazy character.
Right.
She is just off the wall. I don't think there's any sympathetic-ness at all surrounding that character. And Lena Headey has certainly brought that into it. I mean, if that's a choice, I'm not sure if she's read the books, but it's definitely something that she's wanted to do with the character, and she's achieved that for better or for worse.
Right.
I think it's for the better, because you don't want, we already have one character that everyone hates, which is Joffrey. We don't need like all these characters. We want them to be more nuanced and have things that we like about them and things we don't like about them. And with Cersei, we do know that her life hasn't been so easy. Right. And she does have good qualities. She does love her children, even the monster.
Yes.
Even the monster.
Absolutely.
And so I don't know. So do you guys like her better? You kind of said for better or for worse. What about you?
I definitely like her better because I think, like you said, Lena has done such a great job bringing a humanism to her character, not just like the evil queen. I definitely like her better in the series than I do in the books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my animosity is that she's so horrible in the books. I just want to hate her so much, and because she's being a somewhat good person and she has that sympathetic side, that I'm like, oh God, I don't want to feel good for this woman. Like I don't want to think she has a nice bone in her body. But she certainly brought that, and it's interesting to watch. I think it's a better acting choice because you'll see arcs and you can see that instead of just the flat evil character.
Another wonderful addition to the season is the Tyrells in King's Landing, with Marjorie and Joffrey's upcoming wedding. We get to see all the politics and dynamics in play. Sansa as like a pawn to be used as the North, and then we get to see. Basically, I always call her Grandma Tyrell, played by Diana Rigg. I love her character.
The Queen of Thorns is fantastic. If there's anybody who rivals Charles Dance for stealing this season, it's probably her.
Yeah, she actually wasn't in it enough.
No, I mean, she outsmarts everybody. Like, even I love the scene when she's talking to Lord Varys, and comes up to her, and he's like kind of disarmed, but like, he kind of backs away, and she's like, "Oh, come on, come back and talk to me. Don't leave." She just out. Even with Tywin, maybe he's only equal. Yeah, her only equal. Maybe her only equal. But other than that, she outsmarts everybody.
Because she was like, she said like, hey, it's great to finally see someone that's lived up to basically the hype.
Because she was disappointed in Tyrion. He's like, oh, I thought you were smart and witty. It's like, oh, you're really not that smart.
He was getting accustomed to his new job, counting coins.
Right.
He was off his game.
He's learning.
Yeah. So I love the addition of Tyrells and then Marjorie as well. As this kind of manipulator, she's one of the few people that can actually manipulate Joffrey.
Right. She is absolutely fantastic. I love Marjorie in this season. She's a character that doesn't get much screen time in the books, but I think everything they've done in this season is certainly things that were just happening behind the scenes in the book, and so I absolutely love them. They're fantastic. She really knows what she's doing and using her charms. And she's got all those low-cut dresses distracting Joffrey.
She's working it. Wearing those dresses, yeah.
But she's sexy and smart. And it's a great combination, and she's really showing how strong she can be.
And she's also showing a side of not so much out of her selfishness, but or selflessness, about how making the people love you is a good thing. Like, not necessarily because you want to be a good person, but because having them on your side is better than having them fear you.
And I'm curious if her whole reasoning for that is to sort of trump Joffrey, or to actually bring Joffrey into that fold and have the people like him.
Yeah, I think she wants to do it so she can manipulate him and show him like, hey, this is the way to do. I think her perspective on things is a lot different than Joffrey's or basically the Lannisters in general, because with Tywin, like, he kind of believes that with the power and the fear that their house can bring, that's the best way to rule. Where Marjorie seems to have, look, it's not like we want to do these things to be nice, but if you at least keep people somewhat happy, they're easier to control.
What I like about her so much compared to Cersei is she doesn't. She doesn't really take crap. Like, when stuff goes wrong, she embraces that and tries to make it work for her benefit. Whereas Cersei kind of complains, like, oh, Robert wasn't like nice to me sometimes, our marriage didn't work, and woe was me. Whereas Marjorie actually, like, look, this guy is crazy. I'm about to marry. I know he's crazy, but I'm going to make this work for my benefit, not complain, and try to get something positive out of it. I think she has a better attitude toward royalty, if I can say, than Cersei does. I think she would make a better leader than Cersei would.
One of my favorite scenes was when Cersei tells the story of the House of Rain to Marjorie.
Don't ever call me sister again.
That was a great scene, because Marjorie was trying to pull the same stuff that she does to Joffrey to Cersei, and Cersei is like, I'm not having any of that. So yeah, that was great.
In this season, we also get this battle between Baris and Littlefinger. We saw a lot in the first couple seasons, but it was always sort of an enigma what these two were really after.
Yeah.
And I think this season really showed us that Varys is sort of the the peace and order side of things, and Littlefinger, especially in that climb speech, is the chaos, and sort of a yin and yang between these two. We're kind of really finally finding out what these two are all about, which is pretty neat about this season.
I was gonna say, sorry, I really liked when I think it was Varys and I want to say it was Grandma Tyrell was talking about how they have like at least a mutual enemy, and that they don't want to see Littlefinger. Because I think the phrase they said was that Littlefinger would rule over like a pile of ashes. Like he would see the whole kingdoms burn if he could become king and ruler. And they said, we don't want that to happen. At least let's agree on that one. We don't want that to happen.
Yeah. What's interesting too is because when Game of Thrones first started in season 1, at first you think that Littlefinger is the good guy.
Right.
And you think Varys is the bad guy, but it's kind of flipped around. Not that either one of them are like super, good people, but now you kind of see that Varys is trying a little bit more for like to keep things, at least semi-peaceful.
Yeah, it certainly is, and he is trying to keep it peaceful, and they both got such an evil side to them that it's hard to believe he wants peace all the time. Because what happens? He has a guy kidnapped in a box.
Yeah, but that guy did something to him, so I don't blame him.
Yeah. He did something to him.
He
did his whole life.
Exactly. So where Littlefinger, I mean, when he found out that Roz betrayed him, he served her up to Joffrey, and he knew what Joffrey was going to do, and it wasn't nice.
No.
It's really kind of does the end justify the means? Because I feel like a lot of the viewers are starting to side with Varys because he does like the peace and order, but he's doing evil things, just like Littlefinger's doing evil things. But I don't think Littlefinger's gaining any friends.
No,
or any fans. Excuse me.
No, and I don't know. Roz, I liked Roz. I was sad to see her go, especially because I prefer her as the prostitute character versus Shay, who's also the other prostitute character, who's Tyrion's love interest. I don't know. I just can't. I don't like her character. I don't like her storyline. I just don't. I wish she would just go away.
I mean, she turns down like a thing full of diamonds. Could have had a nice mansion somewhere across the sea.
I know.
Sounds like a nice proposal. I'd be like, yeah, I'll take it. But no, she's stubborn. Yeah, she's stubborn.
I know, a bag of diamonds. Come on,
Yeah.
I would have taken that and run.
Yeah, and she's upset about the whole Tyrion marrying Sansa thing, which Sansa's starting to, at least in the finale, we see that she's starting to accept it and starting to understand that Tyrion is actually a good guy. And it's not so bad. It's way better than being married to Joffrey. That's for sure,
But what does she think is going to happen? Why is she holding on to this belief that Tyrion, the son of the most powerful lord in Westeros, is going to divorce his wife and take her, and they're going to run off into the suns? How delusional is she?
I don't know.
Varys had a good point. He said, you complicate things while you're here. You complicate things.
Yeah, I don't know what she's thinking. So I'd rather her just get out of the way.
Just go. Right.
Yes.
Just tie her up to Joffrey's bed and pump her full of arrows. Make the switch.
And then also another Lannister who's not at King's Landing. We get to see Jaime Lannister with Brienne. He's being taken, he's supposedly being escorted to be exchanged for Sansa. And, a lot of stuff happens to him. I mean, he gets his hand cut off.
Right.
Which changes basically the fabric of who he is, because he's known to be an excellent swordsman,
Yeah.
And now he's gotten that taken away from him.
Yeah, a swordsman is his hand, If he can't hold that sword, what is he gonna do? And it's a wonderful arc that he has this season. Easily one of the best of this season. And just to watch him start as that arrogant punk, wisecracking guy in the chains at the beginning of the season, to that final scene when he walks into Cersei's room. And
he's broken.
The broken, desperate man that he is at the end.
Yeah, I'd say one of my favorite scenes this season was when he explained why he was so hurt about the Kingslayer's name, and the explanation of to Brienne in that hot bath thing about basically why he's so upset by it and why no one knows the real truth. I mean, I thought that was one of the... because of the acting and the dialogue and all that stuff. Like, was that scene in the book at all?
It was that the whole bath scene was in the book, and his speech and everything, and it's such a beautiful moment that he finally lets down his shield, he lets down his guard, and he actually connects with somebody.
Yeah.
And he tells the story, and he admits things, and it's a really touching moment, and I enjoyed it. I thought they did a fantastic job with it.
Yeah, there's another little thing in there too. It's a little small thing, maybe not that important, but I like when there's a scene in the book when Brienne does actually step into the bath with him or whatever, she sees him or he sees her, and like he does mention that he is a little bit aroused, a little bit, like not like it's not like, oh, I'm falling for her, but like he like, you know what, maybe, because she's never really liked any other woman besides his sister, so he's like, you know what, maybe she's not that bad. Their relationship is one of my favorites on this season. It was enjoyable to watch them together. They had great chemistry.
Yeah, we get to see the little Kingslayer for a little bit in the books.
Yeah. The king.
Well, and then we're gonna see next season, like basically his reunion with Cersei and what happens now that he's a different person, and how she's gonna either accept or reject that, and also his continued relationship with Brienne.
Yeah. One of my favorite moments of the season was between him and Brienne with the bear pit. When he selfless act, he's already on his way back to King's Landing.
Yeah.
He's off. He's scot-free, and he's just like, no, I can't do this. And he turns around, he goes back just to save somebody. Yeah. And I found that to be extremely touching. I love that character growth that he had. Because who else has he saved? I don't think he's done anything but murder people.
Yeah, I think the only person he really cares about is Cersei and Tyrion. And that's kind of it.
He doesn't even care about his kids,
No.
And I want to say to credit to the show and just the storytelling of George R.R. Martin and Benioff and Weiss who've done the show is fans were kind of split a little bit with the scene with Jaime and Brienne when he was talking about how the reason why he is the way he is. Some people didn't forgive him. I saw some comments. A lot of people on Twitter were like,
"That's true.
It's like that's not good enough. Like that doesn't excuse him pushing the kid out of everyone. Doesn't excuse him killing his own." Right.
But that's the point of the book and the series in general. Is like there's all these people who do great good things and bad things, and other than like someone like Joffrey or maybe like Walder Frey, like there's not too many people who are like 100% evil or 100% good. So I found his character development to be one of the best things of this season.
And the whole question about redemption is will the viewers do they think he's all right after that speech? Do they side with him now or whatnot? I don't think it's exemplified any better than with Theon's case. He just killed those boys, he burned down Winterfell or whatever happened there. Such a hated character. And then this entire season is just him getting tortured.
Yes.
And if you don't side with Theon after this season, you're never going to side with him.
Yeah. It's not even so much of siding with him. It's more of just being sympathetic and empathizing with him in terms of like, might as well just kill him, Even someone who's done bad things like he has, he doesn't deserve that amount of torture, He might as well just kill him. I mean, it's extreme. Extreme what's going on with him. Very hard to watch.
I mean, that last scene with Ramsay eating the sausage and then talking about the guy's penis. I was like, oh man, that was rough. I mean, even I was just like, oh, it was just, that's rough to even think about it. It's just images coming back.
But from what I heard, none of this is in the book, right? Is that true?
No.
The torturing scenes?
It happens off screen,
right?
But we find out about it actually all the way in book 5.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a long delay. Yeah.
So, but
how in detail do they go? Do they just mention that he was tortured, or do they actually talk about the specific scenes of torture that we got to see?
He loses different things in the book than he does in the show. Am I right on that, Kyle? That's right, because
I think it was questionable in the book whether or not he lost
his
Theon Jr. there.
Right, yeah, Theon Jr., yeah.
So, but in the show, obviously, there's no question whatsoever. We run into him because the events are starting to, right after Storm of Swords is the 4th and the 5th books. So it's not like we're jumping too far. Right after next season are these
Because it was meant to be one book, but he split it up into two, Feast for Crows and then Dance
so book 4, even though we're only with season 3, halfway through season book 3, book 4 is supposed to be happening at the same time as book 3. So
No,
yeah,
as
book 4 and
book-
5
in book 4 and
happen.
5.
Oh,
Yeah,
book
yeah.
4 and 5. Okay.
Yeah, Dance with Dragons.
So Theon's actually not in book 3,
Right.
because all this is actually happening to him then.
Right.
But we don't run into him again until 5.
It's a long break.
So right
Okay.
after Storm of Swords is when we run.
And
into
he's
Theon
already
again.
like, so this won't spoil anything because you've seen the finale now. So when he says we meet him when he's accepted that he's Reek.
Yes.
So that's when we see him in book 5. He's like, my name is Reek, and he says all these other kind of things with it. But yeah, he's Reek.
Yeah. We find him
Okay.
as an already broken.
Yeah, he's
captive.
already broken.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So now let's go on to Rob. Rob and
Yes,
Catelyn
the
and
King of the
Talisa,
North.
the King of the North.
the North.
who spent most of his time this season having sex with Talisa.
Well, she's
you
a
can't
beautiful
blame him.
woman.
You
I
can't
know.
blame him.
I
That's
can't
right.
blame
You
him,
can't
but
blame him.
he didn't spend enough time fighting, at least in the show. Like, they showed a lot of stuff of, like, his grandfather's funeral, him talking with Talisa, and just, like, all that stuff. And then, his eventual end, his horrific, heinous end
What are
at
you
the
talking
red...
about?
Wait, what? It was a
with
wedding?
the, with the red wedding. So yeah, it was one of those things that I think was shocking to a lot of people, especially because they set up all these things like everyone's thinking he's gonna come and take revenge for Ned. He's gonna bring House Stark back from all this stuff,
Yes.
and all this planning. Like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, but at the same time we saw a lot of mistakes on his part in terms of pissing off all his the groups of other families that are behind
All his
him.
bannermen
Karstarks,
The Karstarks,
Freys,
exactly.
yeah.
and- Yep. The Umbers disappeared this season.
Oh, I forgot the Umbers. Yeah. Poor,
This is a
Umbers.
technical issue,
Yeah.
but it's such a classic fantasy moment where like the eldest son will pick up the sword of his fallen father and avenge him, and everything will be all right. And George R. R. Martin's just like, no,
Yeah.
that's not exactly how it's going to work out.
Right,
In this
yeah.
one.
Exactly, and I think people who expect that or are just used to that. Like some of them couldn't get over the red wedding. I've heard of people like, oh, that's it, I'm done with the show. I can't watch it anymore.
Right.
I was so curious about that. I think every reader was curious how the fans would react to this, and whether or not they would come back and watch the season finale.
I think most people did. I mean, I think when it comes down to it, because the unexpected happens,
Right.
that's what people want to see. People don't want to see the same stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to see the same stuff, you could watch a lot of different other shows, fantasy or otherwise.
It's the thrill of the
Exactly.
show. I mean, Benioff and Weiss were interviewed, and Benioff was talking about how you go see a Spider-Man movie,
Yeah.
and there's really no danger. Like,
Spider-Man's gonna be
Peter
alive.
Parker's gonna survive.
Yeah.
I mean, comics, even if he dies, he's coming back at some point.
Yeah.
He's not gonna stay down. So this show does something different. I think that's not something you find on TV all the time. So people they're gonna stick with it. They're not gonna leave.
Yeah,
I think there's a small percentage of people who are going to leave,
Right, yeah.
but they probably weren't. I can't say they weren't watching it for the right reasons, but I don't know. Maybe they just don't get what the show is doing.
They're fans of the happy endings,
Yeah.
and
Right.
for rightfully so. I mean, they're uplifting and they're fun, and this show isn't uplifting.
No.
It's much more of a gray, just kind of
Yes.
bleak, but realistic.
Yeah.
Way that the good guys don't always win, and things don't always turn out right,
No.
and you don't always meet your dad when you promise to meet him at that.
Yeah, and if you're
Right.
honorable, that doesn't mean that you're gonna win.
Exactly.
The person that does things the right way or the honorable way, that doesn't mean that you're gonna come out victorious.
Yeah.
That's why, like, when you see the characters, you think the grittier ones are the ones that are going to survive. I mean, granted, I don't know the end of the story. I've read the books, but I don't know the end of the story. So, like, you look at a character like Arya, you'd think she'd probably survive because she's not about, like, the happy endings anymore. She's kind of she's rough
I
now.
mean, she's had the worst time out of
Right.
I mean, she hasn't gotten tortured like Theon, but in terms of emotionally, she's gotten it the worst.
for her age,
yeah,
especially.
she's had a rough time.
I mean, she saw her father get beheaded, a father who she admired and loved, and then
He sees her brother have a pole like shoved
Yeah.
into his body with
Yeah.
the wolf head on. Yeah,
I mean,
and that's after she saw the wolf murdered right in front of her
Right.
eyes.
I don't see that anyone else in this story so far that's gotten it worse than she has, and what she's had to deal with.
Yeah, she's had to grow up fast.
Yeah.
And it's amazing just to watch her go through it. And Oh, it's tough. I love it.
But I love her character.
I don't even know what to
I
say.
love
It's so
I love her
hard.
character. I mean, I think next to Tyrion, I think she's like my second favorite character. I mean, she has a toughness to her, and sometimes I'm not bashing Sansa, but I always like poke fun at Sansa because she just seems kind of naive. She's always waiting for her knight in shining armor to come save her. Even now.
Yep.
You know, I mean, maybe not after finding out that Robb died, but before that, she was still like, "Oh, Loras, I'm gonna marry Loras, and he's gonna take me away, and we're gonna live happily ever after." Arya, like, from the beginning, she kind of knew what the score was, and she's, she's learning to adapt. I mean, she's not capable yet of damaging, big groups of people.
Right,
she did finally, she killed, that one guy.
One guy,
yeah, but I think mentally she's there.
Yeah.
Mentally, she has the capacity to do the things that her father and her brother were never able to do.
No, I was gonna say there's only was one thing of the change on who she killed from the book to the show, and that was the only thing I wish they would have changed. But even though I don't think they developed the character, because how she goes to sleep saying all the names that she wants dead. Well, she actually gets to kill one of those people in that scene. So it's not like it's supposed to already happen, but she kills one of I think it's a tickler. Is that his name?
It's one of them.
It's one of them. Yeah, one of the guys that was at Harrenhal that was torching all the people, like with the rats and everything.
Oh.
Like she finds him in a bar.
No, she got Jack in to kill him in the
exactly,
TV show
exactly.
last season.
But she is the one who kills. It's the Hound's with her too and all that, but she's the one who kills him. And I think it was a little more personal. This was still great, but it was it was just different. It was different.
Yeah, she's still with the Hound, so who knows how many more people she's going to kill along the road.
Right. Yeah, and that guy's already dead, so it doesn't matter. Yeah,
I like that relationship.
Yeah.
I like the Hound and Arya, kind of like Arya and Tywin last season. It's just it's an interesting dynamic, two very different people. And before she hooked up with the Hound, she was walking around with Hot Pie and Gendry.
Poor Hot Pie.
Yeah.
Just the same as the Hound, those two.
Hot Pie stuff.
I really like Gendry. I like his storyline. I know in the books, people have told me that he's kind of like a combination of a couple characters or something like that, or a couple storylines are put in together.
They've just kind of changed his story right around. Yeah, and they've sort of morphed a character into him or melded a character into him that took him on a different adventure. But it's neat to see that journey. It's somebody we care about now, whereas Edric Storm in the book is a character we don't really care about very much. So we have him going on the journey with Stannis because he gets taken by Melisandre and Stannis.
Yeah.
And we actually care about what happens to him.
Yeah.
Unlike this character in the book who we don't really know very much. So it's a nice journey, and we get to see that.
Yeah, I like Gendry. I liked his relationship with Arya. I kind of hoped that when they grew older, they would get together and maybe rule or something. Because he does have king's blood in him, and he's a strong character.
Yeah.
I mean, Ned's like, oh, okay, this guy, when he was just a blacksmith, like, oh, he could tell that he had something about him, and.
Right.
And yeah, with Stannis and Davos, Stannis has just kind of gone cuckoo,
He's crazy.
Cuckoo for
yeah, I mean, after he lost that battle, he's kind of like licking his wounds, and he just listens to Melisandre about everything.
Yeah, it makes me think that he truly believes that if Melisandre was at the Battle of the Blackwater, he could have won. Because now he seems so apologetic, like anything you want, I'll do because you were right. I should have taken you. I could have won this battle.
Right.
I don't know if that's exactly what he's thinking, but it certainly seems like it. So now he just wants to please her.
What makes you question, like, Davos, like, why are you sticking with this guy? Like, I realize he saved your life. He could have killed you, just cut off your fingers and gave you a title. I get it. But, man, this guy's crazy. You should have went on the boat with Gendry and gotten out of there, too, because he's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know why he stayed behind.
No.
I would have just left with Gendry.
Yeah, I mean, he's lost. He doesn't have any semblance of sanity left in him, I don't think.
Yeah.
Because Gendry needs somebody to pilot that boat, so he definitely should have gone with him.
Yeah, because he's never been on a boat before.
Well, he didn't even know which way to be.
It's like, he's like, you see that ocean out there?
Yeah.
Just go towards that. Just go towards that star. Just follow that. You'll be fine. It's like it's not that easy. Really.
He looked pretty good. But a lot of people are up in arms about Stannis. Like, he has a lot of fans in the books, and I think he's very different in the show.
Really?
He seems to be he's hard and he's strict and everything, but he's he's more likable, I guess, a little bit.
In the book?
It seems like it, but at the same time, he's kind of an ass. It's just it's a weird character, and I think it's hard to get him to come across as he was written. And they're doing one thing, and it's pretty interesting to see what they're doing.
Yeah, this season we didn't really actually get that much time
No.
with his character. Okay, and then beyond the wall, we have Jon Snow. Actually, I have to say one thing that I was disappointed at, and it's more of because I'm a fan of Kieran Hines, who they cast to play Mance Rayder, that he wasn't in it more this season. Like, I was like, oh, Kieran Hines, you know, he played Caesar in Rome, you know, and I'm like, okay, he's the leader of the wildlings, he's gonna play a big part. And in the season, he was in like 3 scenes, I think.
Yeah.
Barely in it. I was like,
lines.
yeah, he was not in it at all. I'm assuming because of who they cast that he's going to be a bigger part next season.
Yeah.
Is that
Well,
not spoiling it? Is he
I would
gonna
think
be back?
so, because you see in this season that it's his plan. He sends out these 50 wildlings to go climb the wall and attack Castle Black and open the gate and get them through. So he's probably just waiting north of the wall at Castle Black for them to have their battle and open the door. I think that's his plan. It sounds like what he's doing. So he's just waiting for that to happen.
Yeah, but I did like Jon Snow and Ygritte. I like their dynamic. It's just a funny thing.
You know nothing, Jon.
That'd be great. You don't even know what a windmill is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I like their relationship. I thought, you know, it kind of sucked that he left her high and dry. And
And she
she wasn't too happy about
puts
it.
about 3 arrows in him, so, you know, I call it even. I call that even.
I don't know. It
It's
was a
even.
beautiful love story, but then he took an arrow to the knee.
Yes.
Man, it was probably the most touching love story out of the whole season. I thought those two characters really had a lot going on together, and it was Jon Snow's first, and it was just a beautiful thing. The thing in the cave, making love in the cave.
Well, I think too, this
carrying
might sound
on,
corny, but I think on the show, a lot of people complain about the sex position and everything, and the sex on the show is so forced, and it's about power. It's like this season, we actually got some sex that's actually about love. You know, we got to see Rob with his girl. We got to see, you know, John hook up, but it was like, it was a love relationship. It wasn't about power or Theon having sex with some whore about talking about assault wife and all that stuff. You know, it was actually like, you know, love, which is
and
nice.
Podrick
yeah.
and his contortionist. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah, Pod's a pimp. I mean, he walked by those ladies. They're like, oh, there he is.
Oh,
there he
yeah.
is. I was like, oh, Pod's a pimp.
Rumor got spread.
I don't
on
know what
that
he's
one.
doing.
Yeah, but back to Jon and Ygritte.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is a beautiful thing, and we get to see even jealousy. Like Orell's jealous of them, and there's this real bond between the two that even the wildlings see. And to go down in a blaze of glory like it did, because Jon's honor and staying true to his oath is, it's tough. It's another one of those gray areas where do you choose love or do you choose honor?
Right.
Yeah, and then, you know, in the season finale, we see Jon Snow, and we don't know what kind of condition he's in. He makes it to Castle Black, and that's kind of it. We're like, he's going to live and die or whatever. And then also, beyond the wall, we got a lot more of Samwell.
Yes.
And his storyline with Gilly and him learning that important fact of the dragon glass, being able to kill the White Walkers. It was funny because we kind of, I don't know, Samwell's character, he would show up in episodes like for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then that would be it. And then, you know, and then we wouldn't see him for a couple episodes, and then he'd come back.
But he had a lot of stuff going on with him because a big moment there was Craster's Keep.
Yeah.
And that and the Night's Watch going crazy and killing Mormont.
Yeah.
And that was a huge moment. And we get to see all that. So Sam certainly went on a wild adventure this season.
Right.
He killed a White Walker.
The only one we've seen,
which is huge, you
that
know?
was big.
And he was the very beginning of the season. He's the first character we see. He's running through the snow, running through the blizzard, and he comes across that White Walker that gets burnt at the very beginning. So we certainly go on a journey with him because he's off on his own and he's doing his own thing in the in the scariest place in Westeros.
Right.
And then also we see Bran, who I have to admit, this season for me, other than maybe towards the end, his storyline didn't really intrigue me. They kind of just checked in on him a little bit, kind of like Dany last season. They're like, "Hey, what's Bran up to this week?" And like, not very much. And then they left, you know. And then later, towards the end of the season, we got to see, okay, see his like power and where his role may lie for the series, you know.
Well, he meets his mentor, sort of.
Meets Yoda.
Jojen
when the
Reed.
Reeds come in.
He's got a
Reed.
young mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what does his sister call him? Old man?
Yeah, it's like, he even walks kind of slow, and yeah.
But he knows, I mean, this Reed character, we don't know where he came from, what's going on, but he certainly knows a lot about what's going on. And he's I'm going to get my magical terms mixed up here. He's a green seer, I believe, right?
Yeah, and Bran is a raw...
He's a warg.
Warg, yeah.
Yes. So... whatever that means. Like Jojen can see into the future and the past, and I think he described. And so they've all got weird powers going on. So Jojen's taking his hand and guiding him on this journey.
Right, when Bran took over Hodor, he's like, who can do that? And he's like, no one can do that.
No one.
Like, no one can go inside another human.
Yeah.
You can go inside animals, no one can do a human. So Bran's like another level. He's another kind of mutant.
Yeah, this is like Obi-Wan finding Anakin. He's like, he's the one, man. We got.
How many metachlorians do you have?
Yeah, but it's a much more a mystical sort of journey than a lot of other characters are on. And it seems to be everything centered around the wall. Like everything north of the wall is so magical. Like what's going on? So we get his journey
All right. Well, speaking of magical, let's talk about Dani and her journey with the dragon. She starts off on the boat heading. Where exactly is she? Where did she land?
On the far side of the map.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's not to Westeros yet. She's somewhere else.
She's in Essos, which is the other continent.
Okay.
Okay. And she starts off. Let's see. Where does she start off in this one?
She's
at the beginning of the season.
She's
she
in
leaves
a boat.
Quarth, right?
Yeah, Quarth.
Okay. So she takes off. She leaves Quarth. So she ends up at Astapor with the Unsullied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that her storyline this season is a lot more intriguing than last one. Because last time it was like, where are my dragons? You know, it was a lot of like walking around in the hot desert and then trying to find dragons. And this season we get to see more character development from her. We get to see that her turning into the leader and also kind of finding her mission or her cause, which is the freeing of slaves and all these slaves joining her army and fighting for her because they want to, not because they have to. They're not being paid to, and they don't have to. They want to, and she's turned into this kind of messiah-like figure, which is
Call her Misha. Misa.
Yeah, mother. Yeah. So I was definitely very happy with where her character went this season.
Yeah, she's being much more proactive this season. Last season she was reactive. They stole her dragons. She was just trying to find it. And this season she's like, you know what? I don't like slavery. I'm going to do something about this, and I'm going to free these people. And I need to get an army. And here's what I'm going to do. And it's much more interesting to watch someone when they're making proactive decisions.
Yeah.
And now I think we can see through these scenes that her role in this world or her ideals are changing. It's not so much as about getting the Iron Throne. Now it's like, wait, I had this whole town. I think it says like 100,000 slaves, like just like pouring out to me, and now I'm responsible for these people. Like I just can't. It's not just all about like going over and reclaiming the throne from Joffrey or something. Like her worldview is changing constantly, which I think they did a really good job of this in the season, showing that.
And we certainly see her growing as a negotiator, in her conversations with people. It's not just a show of strength, but her actually talking to. We have Krasnus, who doesn't think she understands High Valyrian the whole time, and she's just playing that up the whole time. We find out that she was just playing the game, and then she totally turned it on him, and she had that all planned out. And we see her thinking it through. And then again later on with the Second Sons and all the young Kai and everything, she's sort of flexing her muscles. And I could see that actually being a little divisive, especially the young Kai part, where she kind of treated that guy like garbage and took all his gold and everything.
Yeah.
She didn't seem very honorable, but she ends up winning at the end.
Yeah.
This season, we're also introduced to Barristan Selmy.
That's true. Yeah.
Again.
Again, absolutely. But introduced to him on Daenerys' side. Like
Yes.
He reemerges and he saves her and he joins her army, which is such a powerful icon. And I think Tywin says it at the beginning of the season too. He's like, to Tyrion, wasn't it? Why'd you let him go?
Yeah.
He's so people care about him. Like,
Yeah,
he's
but
an
it wasn't
honorable knight.
Tyrion's fault. It was Joffrey's fault.
Yeah, but Tywin had sent Tyrion to King's Landing to watch over Joffrey and make sure he didn't make any dumb choices.
Even-
Yeah,
even-
well, it's hard to watch over Joffrey.
Yeah,
I mean,
is, but-
that's a tough task.
I don't think Tywin completely understood how Joffrey.
I think
was.
he's starting to understand now.
Oh, he is now, but definitely not when he wasn't in King's Landing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now he knows. Now he knows what's going on.
Yeah, and then there's kind of a battle between Jorah Mormont and Barristan Selmy, like in terms of like trying to get the ear of Dany, like
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
being the counselor to her, you know.
It's like two fallen knights trying to reclaim their honor through her,
Absolutely.
basically. Yeah.
and Jorah's totally in love with her.
Yeah, it's Jorah is jealous of any man that comes
Right.
within 2
especially
feet of
that
Daenerys.
one new
That's
guy.
my woman.
Yeah, then we get Dario Naharis from the Second Sons,
Pretty boy,
who is just so overtly going after
Yeah.
Daenerys that Jorah is just not liking that one bit. But Dany seems to be enjoying it.
Yeah.
She seems to be going with the flow, going with the Dario.
So yeah, for season 4, one of the things that I'm really looking forward to is Yara, Theon's sister. You know, because at the end of this season, she told her father Balon, like, I'm gonna go get him. Like, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's like, he's written him off. He's like, screw him. He can't have any kids anymore anyways, so screw him. She's going after him. So that's one of the things that I want to see in next season. What kind of things are you guys looking forward to? You know, without any spoilers. They're just like things that you could speculate on based on what we've seen this season.
Well, I think just what you just said, I'm actually really looking forward to see what Yara's up to, what's going on with that, and what's going to happen between her and the Boltons and Ramsay up there. It's going to be really intriguing, and I'm looking forward to that as well.
I think I'm looking forward to, just because of the actors playing him, just Nikolai Castor-Waldau and Cersei, Heidi just getting together and just seeing what their dynamic's going to be like now that he is this broken guy and they've been apart for so long, and how what's their relationship going to look like. I'm excited to see what that's going to be next season.
Yeah. Well, they are brother and sister.
But hey, they don't act like it, yeah.
So I really love this season. I still think season 1 is probably still my favorite season, but I did like this season more than season 2. Well, season 2 was still great.
Yeah.
Still great. They're all great. I'm just saying on a personal level, season 1, 3, and then 2, and then we'll see for season 4, because I heard from you guys and other people that book 3 is the best book of them all.
Yeah.
So hopefully next season we'll deliver on that.
Yeah, we're about halfway through, so we still got some wild rides left to take.
Yes, it's going to be good.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting, and I agree. Season 2, I think 100% agree, everyone, that it's not the best season. But for you said season 1. I think season 1 and season 3 are kind of tied for me at the top. I'd have to rewatch both of them to really determine which one I like more. But they both have the beautiful moments.
Yes.
Well, I say beautiful. I mean horrific moments.
Yeah.
Like Ned getting his head chopped off and the red wedding.
Yeah.
And just those 2 moments are so epic that I don't know how you're going to top that, and I don't know which one I like more. I'm so sadistic, but they're both wild rides.
I'd agree too. I think season 1 and 3 are about the same for me. I think probably season 3 is my favorite, just because I think season 1 took a few episodes to kind of find its footing and get the writing down. I think now Benioff and Weiss are in a pace and a rhythm now. They're like, okay, we know this is our show. We are gonna, stick with Martin's story, but we can also kind of do some of our own things too. We're not afraid to stray a little bit from the book, which I think is when the show's at its best, when it doesn't try to copy it exactly. So I think season 3 is my favorite.
Okay. Well, what were some moments or things that happened in this season that weren't in the books that you guys thought was a better change, or something that you're like, wow, that's something that wasn't in the books and it really surprised me and it made me really happy?
Oh, wow. Okay, I got to think of this now. I have book knowledge. It's been a few years since I read the series. Kyle, you go first to help me out.
Because like
I'm trying to
season
think.
2, season 2, people mentioned that Arya and Tywin, that whole dynamic did not exist in the book.
Yeah.
And that was great. Something like that.
Oh, yeah, okay. I guess I can go there. So this season would be all the conversations, any conversation that Tywin was in with any other characters.
Oh, okay.
That don't get, because, you don't get all the conversations that we see with Tywin that are in the book. You know, because you never get a point of view chapter on Tywin, so it's better. It's nice. Any conversation that Tywin has, with anybody in this series, is probably one of my favorites. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to go with Marjorie. Like I said before, we don't really see what Marjorie's doing. She's kind of playing behind the scenes, but in the show, she really got the forefront of a lot of scenes. And I thought the actress Natalie Dormer did a fantastic job, and just to watch her work, watch the gears move, and her calculating this and manipulating that and doing everything was just so much fun to watch. And you could see she was definitely her grandmother's granddaughter there.
Exactly.
And the two of them, they had a scene where they sat Sansa down, and the two of them, I mean, it was all Queen of Thorns in that, but you could see Marjorie wasn't missing a beat. She's like, "Oh, Grandma, what are you doing? Come on." She's petrified. What are you doing? And she was just so much fun to watch. And I mean, you hate Joffrey so much that this sexy lady comes in and just starts moving him around like he's a worthless chess piece. And it's just so enjoyable. I think that's my favorite part of this season that we didn't actually see in the books.
Okay.
Now, to be fair to say, like, some of the stuff with Tywin, his conversations are in the book, but he's given way more, and I think, to do in this series, just because Charles Dance is just so awesome in the role. I think they're giving him more to do, so I appreciate it.
All right, cool. All right, guys, so that's our season 3 of Game of Thrones review and recap.
Another one down.
Yeah, before we go, and make sure you subscribe to our new Think Hero channel. That's Think Hero Pro. I'll post the link here. We're going to put all the new reviews, all the new videos, a lot of different stuff. It's all going to be on this channel. So the old Think Hero TV channel has all the archives of all our other reviews and stuff like that, but everything new is going to be here. So yeah, you can also follow us on Twitter. Mine is @ThinkHero. What's your Twitter?
I'm at Griffin DE.
And yours?
I'm at Mad Canard, the duck.
Okay. And and check out our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/ThinkHeroFans. And yeah, just post your comments below on this video, and let us know what you think and any questions you may have, and maybe what other type of videos you want us to talk about certain things or anything like that, Game of Thrones or not. All right, see you guys later.